No, it's not your time. Go back. These words, spoken by Jesus Christ himself, marked the beginning of one man's extraordinary journey back to life. But what led to this divine encounter, and why was he sent back? In this video, we'll explore the profound near-death experience that transformed a Seattle probation supervisor from a man facing death to a messenger of hope and purpose. His story will challenge your perceptions and may just redefine your understanding of life's true meaning. It was a day like any other for the Seattle probation supervisor. The sun peeked through the clouds, casting a soft light on the bustling city streets. As he went about his routine tasks, there was no indication that his life was about to take a dramatic turn. The first sign of trouble came suddenly and without warning. A sharp, searing pain erupted in his abdomen, causing him to double over. At first, he tried to brush it off, attributing it to something he ate or perhaps a bout of indigestion. But as the minutes ticked by, the pain intensified, becoming an all-consuming agony that left him gasping for breath. His colleagues, noticing his distress, urged him to seek medical attention. The pain, now radiating through his entire body, made even the simplest movements a Herculean task. By the time he arrived at the emergency room, his condition had deteriorated rapidly. His skin had taken on a pallid, almost ashen hue, and a cold sweat beaded on his forehead. The medical staff sprang into action, their faces etched with concern as they assessed his symptoms. The initial diagnosis was grim. Sepsis, a potentially life-threatening condition caused by the body's extreme response to infection. The doctors explained that sepsis can quickly lead to tissue damage, organ failure, and death, if not treated promptly. As the medical team worked feverishly to stabilize him, the supervisor's mind raced. How could this be happening? Just hours ago, he had been perfectly fine, going about his day as usual. Now, he was fighting for his life in a sterile hospital room, surrounded by the beeping of monitors and the hushed voices of medical professionals. The gravity of sepsis cannot be overstated. It's a condition that claims millions of lives each year, striking swiftly and without mercy. The body's immune system, in an overzealous attempt to fight infection, turns on itself, causing widespread inflammation and organ dysfunction. Time is of the essence in treating sepsis, with each passing hour dramatically decreasing the chances of survival. As the medical staff administered powerful antibiotics and worked to maintain his blood pressure, the supervisor felt his strength ebbing away. The pain, once sharp and localized, had now spread throughout his body, leaving him feeling weak and disoriented. He could sense the growing urgency in the voices around him, the quickened pace of the medical team as they fought to keep him alive. Then, in a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, he felt his body begin to shut down. It was a sensation unlike anything he had ever experienced, a feeling of slipping away, of losing his grip on the physical world. The sounds of the hospital room grew distant, as if coming from the end of a long tunnel. The faces of the medical staff blurred, their frantic movements becoming slow and dreamlike. As he teetered on the threshold between life and death, a strange calm washed over him. The pain that had consumed his being just moments ago began to fade, replaced by a sense of weightlessness. It was as if he were floating, drifting away from the chaotic scene in the hospital room. Little did he know that this moment, this brush with mortality, would be the beginning of an extraordinary journey, one that would challenge everything he thought he knew about life, death, and the nature of existence itself. As his consciousness began to slip away from his failing body, the probation supervisor experienced something utterly unexpected. What if death wasn't the end, but rather the beginning of the most incredible journey imaginable? In that pivotal moment, he felt a profound shift. His awareness seemed to detach from his physical form, rising above the chaotic scene in the hospital room. The fear that had gripped him earlier melted away, replaced by an unexpected sense of peace. It was as if he had shed the weight of his earthly concerns, leaving behind the pain and panic that had consumed him just moments before. What happened next defied all logical explanation. The supervisor found himself moving at an incomprehensible speed, passing through the solid walls and floors of the hospital as if they were mere illusions. He described the sensation as incredibly fast, noting that he shot through the hospital floors, ascending into the blue sky and even into outer space. The laws of physics seemed to no longer apply as he traversed realms beyond human understanding. This rapid journey through different layers of reality aligns with many accounts of near-death experiences. Individuals often report a sensation of leaving their physical bodies behind, observing the world from a new perspective. For the supervisor, this out-of-body experience was not just a passive observation, but an active journey towards something greater. As he moved through these various planes of existence, the supervisor felt a growing anticipation. Where was this impossible voyage leading him? What awaited him at the end of this cosmic highway? The speed of his travel was beyond anything he could have imagined in his earthly life. He later reflected that it felt like the biblical concept of being in the presence of the Lord, saying, "To be absent from the body is to be in the presence of the Lord." The rapidity of his movement was truly astounding. He described it as faster than a person could blink their eye, a speed that transcends human comprehension. This swift transition between realms seemed to compress time and space, challenging our understanding of these fundamental concepts. As his journey continued, the supervisor began to perceive a shift in his surroundings. The vast expanse of space gave way to something new, something that felt both foreign and strangely familiar. He approached what appeared to be a window, a threshold between two worlds. The anticipation built as he drew closer to this mysterious entrance. What lay beyond this window? What new revelations awaited him in the realm he was about to enter? As he passed through this ethereal barrier, he was enveloped by a sensation that would forever change his perception of existence. "When I came through that window, oh man, everything was right," he recalled. "There was nothing wrong. It was pure peace." This profound sense of rightness and peace marked his entrance into a realm beyond imagination. As he stood at the precipice of this new world, the supervisor realized that his journey was far from over. In fact, it was only just beginning. Many near-death experiences speak of a light at the end of the tunnel, but for the supervisor, this cliché fell short of the truth. Instead, he found himself face to face with what appeared to be a window, a gateway to something beyond human comprehension. What lay on the other side would challenge everything we think we know about life, death, and the nature of reality itself. As he approached this mysterious threshold, the supervisor's earthly expectations began to crumble. The window before him bore little resemblance to the pearly gates or golden archways often depicted in artistic renderings of heaven's entrance. Instead, it appeared as a shimmering portal pulsating with an otherworldly energy that seemed to beckon him forward. The moment he passed through this ethereal barrier, a profound transformation took place. "When I came through that window, oh man, everything was right," he later recalled. "There was nothing wrong. It was pure peace." The sensation was unlike anything he had ever experienced on Earth, a complete absence of fear, worry, or pain. It was as if every cell in his being resonated with a sense of belonging and rightness. This overwhelming feeling of peace is a common thread among many near-death experiences. Researchers have long studied the psychological impact of these encounters, noting how they often lead to transformative life changes. For the supervisor, this moment marked the beginning of a journey that would forever alter his perception of existence. As he took in his new surroundings, he was struck by the vibrant aliveness of everything around him. The very air seemed to pulse with a welcoming energy. Everything, from the grass beneath my feet to the air around me, seemed to be saying, "You belong here. We're so glad you've come," he explained. This sense of being embraced by the environment itself added another layer to the profound peace he was experiencing. The contrast between his earthly life and this new realm was stark. Gone were the worries and stresses that had plagued him in his physical existence. In their place was a sense of completeness and harmony that defied description. It was as if he had finally found the place where he truly belonged, a realization that filled him with an indescribable joy. As he stood at the threshold of this heavenly landscape, the supervisor felt a growing anticipation. What other wonders awaited him in this realm of pure peace? What truths would be revealed to him about the nature of existence and the purpose of life? The profound sense of belonging he felt was just the beginning, a prelude to revelations that would challenge and expand his understanding of reality. With each passing moment, the supervisor's awareness seemed to expand, allowing him to perceive more of the incredible world around him. The heavenly landscape before him promised experiences beyond his wildest imagination, beckoning him to explore its mysteries and uncover the profound truths hidden within its ethereal beauty. The supervisor's journey into the heavenly realm unfolded like a masterpiece painted with colors beyond human imagination. As he stepped into this new world, he was immediately struck by its vastness and beauty. The landscape before him was both familiar and utterly alien, challenging his understanding of reality itself. Trees stretched towards an impossibly vibrant sky, their leaves shimmering with a life force that seemed to pulse in harmony with the universe. Flowers dotted the landscape, their petals more vivid and intricate than any earthly bloom. Mountains rose majestically in the distance, their peaks shrouded in a soft, ethereal light that seemed to emanate from within. But it wasn't just the visual splendor that captivated the supervisor. Every element of this heavenly realm appeared to be alive and conscious. The trees didn't merely stand, they seemed to sway and welcome. The flowers didn't just grow, they appeared to turn their faces towards him in joyful greeting. Even the very air around him felt charged with a loving presence, embracing him as if to say, "You belong here." This heightened sensory experience is a common thread in many near-death accounts. Individuals often report perceiving their surroundings with a clarity and intensity that far surpasses normal human perception. For the supervisor, it was as if a veil had been lifted from his senses, allowing him to see and feel the true nature of existence for the first time. As he explored this awe-inspiring landscape, the supervisor became aware of a profound harmony that permeated everything around him. Each element, from the smallest blade of grass to the towering mountains, seemed to play its part in a grand cosmic symphony. This wasn't just nature as he had known it on Earth. This was nature infused with divine purpose and consciousness. The colors that painted this heavenly canvas defied description. They were more vibrant, more alive than anything he had ever seen before. The light that bathed the realm was warm and inviting, creating an atmosphere of indescribable beauty. It was as if the very essence of love and joy had been woven into the fabric of reality. But even as the supervisor marveled at these wonders, he sensed that there was something even more extraordinary yet to be revealed. His anticipation grew as he continued to explore, each new discovery hinting at greater marvels to come. Then, in a moment that would forever alter his understanding of reality, he witnessed something truly miraculous. The mountains in the distance began to move, not with the slow, grinding motion of tectonic plates, but with the fluid grace of ocean waves. These colossal formations of rock and earth undulated across the landscape, defying all laws of physics as he had known them. The sight of mountains flowing like water was a profound revelation. It spoke to a reality where the impossible was not only possible, but natural. In this realm, the rigid boundaries between different states of matter seemed to dissolve, hinting at a deeper unity underlying all of creation. As the supervisor stood in awe of this breathtaking display, he felt a new desire stirring within him. As wondrous as these sights were, he sensed that they were merely the prelude to something even greater. An intense longing began to well up in his heart, a yearning to see the source of all this beauty and love. He knew, with a certainty that transcended earthly knowledge, that he was about to encounter Jesus. As the heavenly landscape unfolded before him, the supervisor felt an overwhelming desire stirring in his heart. More than anything else, he yearned to see Jesus Christ face to face. This longing transcended mere curiosity. It was a deep spiritual pull that seemed to resonate with the very essence of his being. Guided by this intense desire, he found himself journeying through a celestial forest unlike any he had ever encountered on earth. The trees, pulsing with divine life, seemed to whisper among themselves. Their leaves rustled with an otherworldly anticipation, as if they too sensed the magnitude of what was about to unfold. As he pressed forward, something extraordinary began to happen. The trees, as if responding to an unspoken command, started to part before him. It was as though the entire forest was making way for this momentous encounter. The supervisor later recalled the trees communicating, "He's going to see the king, he's going to see the king, he's going to see the king." This divine orchestration filled him with a mixture of awe and reverence. The parting of the trees served as a powerful metaphor, echoing the theological significance of Jesus in Christian belief. Just as the forest cleared a path, Jesus is often seen as the way to God, clearing the obstacles between humanity and the divine. This moment in the heavenly realm seemed to embody that fundamental concept in a tangible, awe-inspiring way. As the last of the trees gave way, the supervisor found himself on the edge of a vast clearing. The anticipation that had been building throughout his journey reached its peak. He knew, with a certainty that defied earthly understanding, that he was about to come face to face with the source of all the love and beauty he had experienced in this realm. The air seemed to vibrate with a holy presence, and a light more brilliant than anything he had yet seen began to fill the clearing. As his eyes adjusted to the radiance, he beheld a sight that would forever change him. Jesus, standing in the midst of a multitude of angels and what the supervisor would later describe as redeemed people. The scene before him was a vivid representation of the Christian concept of heaven, a place of communion with God and fellowship with the faithful. Jesus stood at the center, his presence both regal and welcoming. Surrounding him were countless angels, their forms shimmering with celestial light. Interspersed among them were those the supervisor recognized as people who had once walked the earth, now basking in the glory of their Savior's presence. This moment of revelation brought home a profound truth that would stay with the supervisor long after his return to earthly life. "I came to understand that heaven isn't just a place you want to be in, it's a person you want to be with," he would later explain. This insight transformed his understanding of faith, shifting it from a desire for a heavenly destination to a longing for a divine relationship. As he stood at the threshold of this holy gathering, the supervisor felt himself drawn inexorably toward Jesus. The personal encounter he had so fervently desired was about to begin, promising revelations and experiences beyond anything he could have imagined. The moment had arrived. Jesus stood before the supervisor, ready to meet his gaze. But what if the look in Christ's eyes was nothing like what you've been taught to expect? Prepare to have your understanding of divine judgment completely transformed. As the supervisor found himself in the presence of Jesus, an overwhelming reaction took hold. He fell to his knees, overcome with a profound sense of gratitude and unworthiness. All I could say was, "Thank you, thank you, thank you," over and over again, he later recounted. This outpouring of emotion stemmed from a deep realization that his presence in this heavenly realm was solely due to Christ's sacrifice. The supervisor's earthly expectations of judgment and condemnation dissolved in the face of pure, unconditional love. As he gazed upon Jesus, he experienced a love so intense and all-encompassing that it defied description. This love wasn't confined to a single aspect of Christ's being. It radiated from every part of him. I looked up from his feet to his ankles. His ankles loved me. I saw his calves. They loved me. I saw his knees. They loved me. Everything about him I looked at loved me, the supervisor explained. This encounter challenged everything the supervisor thought he knew about divine love and forgiveness. The depth and intensity of Christ's love far surpassed any earthly conception. It was a love that accepted him completely, without reservation or condition. In that moment, he understood that God's love was so much more profound than he had ever grasped before. As the supervisor's gaze met Jesus' eyes, he experienced a moment of profound revelation. The look of complete forgiveness and acceptance in Christ's eyes shattered any lingering doubts or feelings of unworthiness. He looked at me like I had never ever disobeyed him in my entire existence, the supervisor recalled. This gaze of pure love and forgiveness made him realize the true nature of divine forgiveness. When God forgives, he forgets. This transformative spiritual experience left an indelible mark on the supervisor's soul. The unconditional love and acceptance he encountered in Jesus' presence reshaped his understanding of his relationship with the divine. It wasn't just a momentary feeling of bliss, it was a profound shift in perspective that would influence every aspect of his life moving forward. As the supervisor basked in the warmth of Christ's love and forgiveness, he sensed that this encounter was about to deepen even further. There was more to be revealed, more to be understood. He felt himself on the cusp of receiving divine knowledge, a spiritual download that would expand his understanding of God, heaven, and existence itself. Little did he know that this flood of information would challenge and transform his perceptions in ways he could never have imagined. What if everything you thought you knew about God's love, free will, and the nature of eternity was just the tip of an infinite iceberg? As the supervisor's encounter with Jesus deepened, he was about to receive a flood of divine wisdom that would shatter his perceptions and redefine his understanding of existence itself. But with great knowledge comes great responsibility, and the challenge of bringing these celestial truths back to earth. In a moment that defied earthly comprehension, the supervisor felt an overwhelming sensation wash over him. It was as if the very essence of divine knowledge was pouring into his consciousness, expanding his understanding far beyond mortal limits. This spiritual download, as he would later describe it, was not a mere transfer of information, but a profound expansion of awareness that touched every fiber of his being. As the celestial wisdom flowed into him, the supervisor struggled to fully grasp the enormity of what he was experiencing. The sheer volume and depth of the knowledge threatened to overwhelm his human faculties. He likened it to trying to contain an ocean of information within the confines of a teacup. Despite his best efforts, he realized that much of what he was learning would slip away upon his return to earthly consciousness. Yet, even as he grappled with the limitations of his mortal mind, certain profound insights began to crystallize. "I thought I knew what it meant for God to love us," he later recalled, "but what I experienced was so much more profound. This divine love, he realized, was not just a concept, but a tangible force that permeated every aspect of existence. The nature of eternity revealed itself in ways that challenged his earthly understanding of time. In heaven, he explained, time didn't exist in the way we experience it here. Everything was eternal present. This realization cast his earthly struggles in a new light, emphasizing their temporary nature against the backdrop of eternity. As the download continued, the supervisor gained insights into the intricate interplay between divine sovereignty and human free will. I sense that God's sovereignty and human free will work together in a way that's hard for us to fully grasp with our earthly minds, he reflected. This revelation hinted at a cosmic harmony that transcended simple cause and effect. Perhaps most startling was his newfound awareness of spiritual warfare. I realize that many of our struggles and challenges have a spiritual component that we often overlook, he stated. This understanding added a new dimension to his perception of earthly trials and tribulations. As the flood of divine knowledge began to ebb, the supervisor felt a profound sense of purpose taking root within him. He knew that he had been granted these insights not just for his own enlightenment, but to share with others. I feel a deep responsibility to share my story and help others understand the reality of heaven and God's love, he affirmed. Little did he know that this sense of mission was about to be put to the test. As he basked in the afterglow of divine revelation, a familiar voice cut through the celestial peace. It was time for him to make a choice that would challenge everything he had just learned about eternity, love, and purpose. Imagine standing at the threshold of paradise, filled with divine knowledge and bathed in perfect peace. Now picture being told, you must leave it all behind. This was the supervisor's reality as Jesus uttered 7 words that would change everything. No, it's not your time, go back. The command, though unexpected, was met with initial acceptance. The supervisor, still overwhelmed by the love and wisdom he had experienced, began to prepare himself for the journey back to earth. He understood that his time in this heavenly realm had been a gift, a glimpse into the eternal that few are privileged to receive. As he readied himself to depart, he felt a sense of purpose, as if he were being sent back with a divine mission. However, as the reality of leaving this perfect peace began to sink in, a growing reluctance took hold. The stark contrast between the heavenly realm and the earthly life he was being asked to return to became increasingly apparent. Here, in the presence of Jesus, he had experienced a love and acceptance beyond anything he had ever known. The thought of leaving this behind, of returning to a world of pain, struggle, and uncertainty, was almost unbearable. The journey back to the edge of heaven was a bittersweet one. With each step, the supervisor felt the weight of his earthly existence slowly returning. The vivid colors of the heavenly landscape began to fade, the all-encompassing sense of love and belonging started to dim. It was as if he were moving from a world of high-definition clarity back into one of muted tones and blurred edges. The difficulty of leaving such perfect peace cannot be overstated. Many who have experienced near-death encounters report a profound reluctance to return to their physical bodies. The supervisor found himself torn between the divine command he had received and an overwhelming desire to stay in this realm of pure love and acceptance. The emotional struggle was intense, akin to a child being asked to leave a place of safety and joy to face the harsh realities of the world. As he approached the threshold between heaven and earth, a sense of anticipation built within him. Would he really have to leave this all behind? Was there any possibility of staying, of prolonging this extraordinary experience? The desire to remain in this heavenly realm grew stronger with each passing moment, challenging his resolve to fulfill the command he had been given. Then, in a moment of unexpected joy, the supervisor realized his body wasn't ready to receive him back. I remember turning around saying, "Yes!" And the forest was before me, and I knew Jesus was on the other side of the forest, he later recalled. This realization filled him with elation. It meant more time in this place of perfect peace, more opportunities to explore the wonders of heaven and bask in the presence of divine love. As he turned back towards the heavenly realm, the supervisor felt a renewed sense of purpose. This extra time was not just a reprieve from returning to earth. It was an opportunity to delve deeper into the mysteries of heaven. With eager anticipation, he prepared himself for further exploration, knowing that each new discovery would bring profound insights and revelations. As the supervisor ventured deeper into the heavenly realm, he stumbled upon a sight that challenged everything he thought he knew about the afterlife. Who would he encounter that would shake the very foundations of his beliefs about salvation? Amidst the ethereal landscape, a familiar figure emerged from the radiant crowd. It was his grandmother Mary, standing at the forefront of a group of family members. Her presence was both comforting and surprising, a tangible link between his earthly life and this celestial plane. As he drew closer, he noticed her appearance was transformed. She was shiny, her face adorned with a big smile that radiated pure joy. Behind his grandmother, the supervisor saw generations of his family stretching back through time. This reunion spanned far beyond what he could have imagined, encompassing relatives he had known in life and those who had passed long before his birth. The scene before him challenged his earthly expectations of family dynamics in the afterlife. In this heavenly gathering, there was no trace of the tensions or misunderstandings that often plague earthly relationships. Instead, a purity and perfection of love permeated their interactions. The supervisor felt a deep connection with each family member, transcending the boundaries of time and earthly experiences. This profound bond emphasized the importance of family in God's divine plan. As he marveled at the joyous reunion, the supervisor noticed something that shook him to his core. Among the radiant faces were individuals he never expected to see in heaven. These were people who, by his earthly standards, didn't meet the criteria for salvation. Yet here they were, basking in the same divine love and acceptance as the rest of his family. This revelation forced him to confront his preconceived notions about salvation and God's judgment. He realized that his earthly understanding of who deserved to be in heaven was limited and flawed. God's criteria for salvation, it seemed, were far more inclusive and loving than he had ever imagined. The emotional impact of this realization was profound. "I thought, wow, I got to see my entire family in heaven smiling," he later recalled, "and I thought, I've never seen that on the planet, and enjoying each other so much." This heavenly scene of familial harmony and unconditional acceptance was unlike anything he had experienced on earth. As the supervisor absorbed the magnitude of this heavenly reunion, he felt a growing sense that his time in this realm was coming to an end. The joy of seeing his family in their glorified state was tempered by the knowledge that he would soon have to leave them behind. Yet, this encounter had fundamentally altered his understanding of life, death, and the nature of God's love. With a heart full of newfound wisdom and a transformed perspective on salvation, the supervisor prepared himself for what he sensed would be his final moments in this heavenly realm. Little did he know that the most challenging part of his journey, the return to his earthly life, was yet to come. Just as the supervisor had begun to accept his extended stay in heaven, the third and final command to return reverberated through the celestial realm. This time, there was no mistaking the urgency and finality of the directive. A profound sense of divine purpose washed over him, intertwining with the bittersweet realization that his time in paradise was drawing to a close. The emotional struggle of leaving this realm of perfect peace and love was almost overwhelming. How could he possibly return to the pain and uncertainty of earthly existence after experiencing the indescribable joy and acceptance of heaven? The supervisor found himself torn between his desire to remain in this blissful state and the growing awareness that he had a mission to fulfill on earth. As he prepared for his departure, his grandmother Mary approached him. Her radiant presence emanated love and wisdom as she spoke her parting words. "Bring as many of us back with you as you can," she urged, her voice filled with a mixture of encouragement and divine authority. These words resonated deeply within him, crystallizing his sense of purpose and the weight of the responsibility he was about to carry back to the physical world. The impact of near-death experiences on one's life purpose is often profound and transformative. For the supervisor, this encounter had fundamentally altered his understanding of existence, love, and the divine plan. He knew that he was being sent back not just to continue his life, but to share the profound truths he had witnessed and experienced. As the moment of return drew near, a palpable anticipation built within him. What would it feel like to re-enter his physical body after experiencing the freedom and expansiveness of the spiritual realm? How would he integrate the profound wisdom he had gained into his earthly life? These questions swirled in his consciousness as he prepared for the transition. The actual moment of re-entering his physical body was a shock to his system. The contrast between the weightless, painless existence in heaven and the heaviness of his corporeal form was jarring. He felt as if he were being squeezed back into a suit that was too small, too confining. The physical sensations were overwhelming. The return of pain, the awareness of his body's limitations, the stark reality of the hospital room around him. As his consciousness fully re-engaged with his physical form, the supervisor became aware of the surprised reactions of the medical staff. They had believed him to be clinically dead for about an hour and 45 minutes, and his sudden return to life was nothing short of miraculous in their eyes. The shock on their faces mirrored his own internal struggle as he grappled with the transition from the spiritual realm back to the physical world. In those first moments of return, the supervisor knew that his life would never be the same. The memories of his heavenly experience, though already beginning to fade at the edges, had left an indelible mark on his soul. As he lay in the hospital bed, slowly reacclimating to his earthly existence, he knew that the true challenge lay ahead, integrating his profound experience into his daily life and fulfilling the mission he had been given. As the supervisor slowly regained consciousness in his hospital bed, he was immediately struck by the stark contrast between the heavenly realm he had just experienced and the harsh reality of his physical condition. The pain of his illness, which had momentarily vanished during his celestial journey, now returned with full force. Yet, even as his body struggled, his mind was ablaze with the profound revelations he had received. The challenges of integrating his near-death experience into daily life quickly became apparent. How could he possibly convey the depth and magnitude of what he had witnessed to those around him? The vivid memories of his encounter with Jesus, the overwhelming sense of divine love, and the insights he had gained seemed to defy earthly language. He found himself grasping for words, often falling short in his attempts to describe the indescribable. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, the supervisor noticed significant changes in his beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors. His perspective on life had been irrevocably altered. He now viewed each day as a precious gift, acutely aware that our time on earth is fleeting compared to the eternity he had glimpsed. This newfound appreciation for the transient nature of earthly existence infused his actions with a sense of urgency and purpose. Perhaps the most profound transformation occurred in his relationships with others. The supervisor found himself seeing each person through a new lens, recognizing them as deeply loved by God. This shift in perception fostered a wellspring of patience and compassion within him. He became more attuned to the struggles of those around him, eager to share the unconditional love he had experienced in heaven. Research on the lasting impacts of near-death experiences corroborates many of the changes the supervisor underwent. Studies have shown that individuals who have had NDEs often report increased empathy, a reduced fear of death, and a greater sense of life purpose. For the supervisor, these changes manifested in a renewed commitment to his faith and a deeper understanding of God's love. As he continued to process his experience, the supervisor felt a growing sense of anticipation. He knew that the insights he had gained were not meant to be kept to himself. A new mission was taking shape in his heart, a calling to share the message of God's love with as many people as possible. This sense of purpose gave new meaning to his life, transforming his near-death experience from a personal revelation into a catalyst for widespread impact. The supervisor's journey of transformation serves as a powerful testament to the profound effects of near-death experiences. His story challenges our understanding of consciousness, the nature of reality, and the boundaries between life and death. As we consider the implications of his experience, we are invited to reflect on our own beliefs about existence and the possibility of realms beyond our physical world. While the supervisor's near-death experience was deeply personal, its implications extend far beyond one individual's journey. Near-death experiences like his raise profound questions about the nature of consciousness, reality, and human existence itself. These accounts challenge our understanding of life and death, inviting us to consider the possibility of realms beyond our physical world. From a scientific perspective, near-death experiences have been the subject of intense study and debate. Some researchers argue that these phenomena can be explained by neurological processes occurring in a dying brain. They point to the release of chemicals like dimethyltryptamine, DMT, or the effects of oxygen deprivation as potential causes for the vivid experiences reported. However, others in the scientific community remain open to the possibility that NDEs might represent genuine encounters with a reality beyond our current understanding. Spiritual interpretations of NDEs often see them as evidence of an afterlife or the existence of a higher power. The consistency of certain elements across NDE accounts, such as encounters with deceased loved ones, feelings of profound peace, and the presence of a loving entity, lend weight to these spiritual perspectives. For many, these experiences serve as powerful affirmations of their faith or catalysts for spiritual awakening. The tension between materialistic worldviews and the implications of an afterlife is at the heart of the NDE debate. If consciousness can exist independently of the physical brain, as many NDE accounts suggest, it challenges fundamental assumptions about the nature of reality. This possibility opens up a vast realm of questions about human existence, purpose, and the potential for continued consciousness after death. Near-death experiences have been reported across various cultures and religions, suggesting a universal phenomenon that transcends individual belief systems. This consistency challenges purely cultural or religious explanations for NDEs and points to a potentially shared aspect of human experience. The prevalence of these accounts, with some studies suggesting that up to 18% of cardiac arrest survivors report NDEs, further underscores their significance. As we grapple with the implications of NDEs, we stand on the precipice of potential paradigm shifts in our thinking about life, death, and consciousness. If even a fraction of what NDE experiences report is true, it could revolutionize our understanding of human existence. The possibility of continued consciousness after death could dramatically reshape our approach to end-of-life care, grief, and our overall perspective on mortality. Moreover, the insights gained from NDEs, such as the importance of love, compassion, and interconnectedness have the potential to transform how we live our lives. Many NDE survivors report a profound shift in their values and priorities, often leading to more altruistic and purposeful living. If these lessons were more widely embraced, it could lead to significant societal changes, fostering greater empathy and a deeper appreciation for the preciousness of life. As we continue to explore and debate the meaning of near-death experiences, we are reminded of the vast mysteries that still surround human consciousness and existence. Whether viewed through a scientific or spiritual lens, these profound encounters invite us to expand our understanding of reality and consider the possibility that our current knowledge represents just the tip of an infinite iceberg. The Seattle probation supervisor's near-death experience challenges our understanding of life, death, and consciousness. His journey through a heavenly realm, encounter with Jesus, and profound revelations about divine love offer a glimpse into a reality beyond our physical world. This experience transformed his perspective on existence, emphasizing the importance of love, forgiveness, and purpose. As we reflect on this extraordinary account, we're invited to examine our own beliefs about the nature of reality and what might lie beyond our earthly lives. How might our lives change if we viewed them through the lens of eternity? What if the love and acceptance the supervisor experienced in heaven were accessible to us here and now? These questions push us to consider the deeper meaning of our existence and the potential for consciousness to transcend physical boundaries. Whether viewed as a spiritual awakening or a neurological phenomenon, near-death experiences like this one remind us of the vast mysteries that still surround human consciousness and the nature of reality itself.